My humble respect to Guru Mahan, Guru Piran Srisankaran, Guru Piran Nyo, fellow Nyanis. Today I'm going to conclude this part of the satsang, which is actually bringing to complete Mahan's Kundalini meditation technique and the benefits. I'll summarize everything into one complete set of presentation of what we covered over the last many satsangs. So here it is. We looked at the benefits of Mahan's meditation, and Mahan's meditation is actually the 3 stages of initiation that he discovered. He showed how to awaken the Kundalini, the life force. The first stage, the second stage, third stage. Very detailed discussion has been given in the previous, all the previous satsangs. I won't go into details. If you want to know more, you would be able to see that in the previous, YouTube clips or the satsangs. So these 3 stages is so important, and anyone, above the certain age of maturity can practice this, and more importantly, people of any, race and religions can practice this. There is nothing that you need to chant or say or practice. Just sitting down quietly, and a simple technique that Swamiji shows of how to concentrate in the first stage, to awaken the third eye, to bring it down to the base eye, and then bring it up to the top. 21 days. If you practice this really well, you'll see that, you'll start feeling that resonation. And I spoke about how this practice, for many years I've been practicing, more than, about 45 years this year. And you'll see that you'll go through micro level changes. Sometimes you won't notice it, but over a short period of time, within a month, 2 months, you'll start seeing changes. And one of the things that you will see is actually about your interest. Your mind becomes more focused on pursuing things that are really important. And this is something that we see in those who are intensively practicing. They won't waste their energy on frivolous things. The mind starts gravitating towards something called viveka and vairagya, that knowledge that gives us that ability to be resilient and strong. And sometimes we call it the dharmic knowledge that sustains us, right? So you see that we start wanting to know more about the God. We want to know more about the universe. We want to know more about us. The interest starts generating. We start reading a lot more spiritual, religious books to unlock the secret. And you see that there is, slowly as we start practicing, we're reading Mahan's book, we start reading a lot more scriptures, our mind becomes more sharper and more intensive, and something that, what has been spoken about in the scriptures slowly starts making sense. And then we gravitate towards, a more scientific, more rational approach of why things are happening, because the mind becomes more and more, systematic in terms of trying to decipher this information. So there's a search for the truth, a search for reasoning, a search for a logical systematic way of understanding this. You can say this is kind of a scientific approach of evidence-based. You say, well, this is what the scripture has been speaking about, and they've spoken about many stories, about experiences, and you want to experience that too. And you put your mind and your body to this test. And this is what starts happening. And it's not dogmatic belief system that somebody says, this is what the experience is, and you believe it. No, you pass the belief system to start experiencing this. And slowly gravitate towards not that external, rituals, but you start introspecting, contemplating, reflecting, and meditating. So there's a structural change that happens in our own mind and our intellect. And a true meditator will start, going through this rumination, reflection, the introspection, right? And something very interesting when that happens, so the mind starts kind of gravitating towards this spiritual compass. I like to call this the compass. Before our direction in life is guided by, external things, the desire to get academic qualification or professional qualification, want to get a better job, buy homes, get a good partner in life, have children. It's all about material things. While that is important, you see that that gives way to that discovery of the spiritual compass, right? And that becomes, takes on a bigger and magnified role. And this practice of Mahan gives us that, helps us to discover our spiritual compass. And that spiritual compass leads us to this notion of this 10 capitals of life. Starting with that spiritual compass gives us that spiritual connectedness, that ability to feel that vibration that is resonating in us, which also is manifested in this universe. So we start feeling that inner vibration, that connectedness. We're not affected by the noise outside, but there is a kind of a rhythm, there's a kind of a symphony that is generated from within ourselves. You can call it divine symphony. In some of the scriptures, they call it Bhagavan's Geetam. Bhagavan's Geetam is the divine vibration, which is discussed in many scriptures, including Bhagavad Gita and many, many other scriptures. So you feel the mind becomes a sense of connectedness. You don't waste time on trivial matters. You don't waste time on, small, small things, fleeting things. You start focusing on things which are more deeper and more eternal. That spiritual connectedness unleashes a whole host of what I call capitals. Starting with spiritual capital, the physical body becomes more healthier. We don't feel tired very quickly. Our brain becomes more nourished. Our emotional state becomes better. Our intellectual growth becomes much more profound. The creativity increases. And slowly you see that we discover our own natural talent in many facets. Maybe reading before scriptures was hard to read. Now we understand the scriptures better. We understand things better. We make sense things better, right? It improves our professional life. It improves, the things that we are trained for. And slowly, slowly, you see that we acquire the skill sets, not just the professional skill sets and the spiritual knowledge, but also that emotional knowledge on how to relate to people, right? And slowly, slowly, we become more and more empowered. We become self-sufficient, and that unleashes the leadership. We become what I call the chief enlightenment officer of ourselves and the people around us, right? Including in our professional life. And over time, we see that we become prosperous materially. We become, we have adequate resources to help us manage our lives really well, take care of the things in our lives, ourselves, our families, and so on, and remove the worrying about financial security, all those things. All that disappears. Nature has a way of giving you relief from all that and to help you reinforce that spiritual connectedness. And this cycle continues until one fine day you say, I got it. This is it. This is what that purpose of life is. So in every facet of our lives, we are peaceful, we are harmonious, we are happy, and we do very well. So this is what this Mahan's teachings has taught me. It's not meditation that says you have to give up everything. It teaches us to divinize everything. And this is the wonderful part. So if you are a teacher, you become a fantastic teacher. If you are a parent, you become a fantastic parent. If you are a doctor, you become a fantastic physician or a surgeon. So it enhances whatever you are doing The reason why is there is a simple philosophy that when we generate that 10 capitals of life that nature has bestowed us, you see that it leads us naturally to happiness because the worry is gone. We know our body and our mind is healthy. We are, in a state of peaceful. Everything is in harmonious state. And this 10 capitals of life leads us to a very happy and a spectacular life. What do I mean by spectacular? We do everything with the best of our abilities to achieve the best things in our lives, based on the kind of resources that we have. And very interestingly, I have this quote that is constantly, reverberating in my mind. It says that our character determines our destiny. So if we take this kind of introspective, contemplative, reflective, meditative, and a kind of a service mindset, you see, that helps us to discover that spiritual compass that gives us that universal personality. And that character becomes who we are. It's not that hard, mean, obnoxious character, but it's the gentle, universal, graceful, character. I said about the GP man, the seven core values that shapes this character: gracefulness, gratitude, patience, perseverance, persistence, the mastery, wanting to know, the awareness of that vibration or the divinity in us, the humility, the agility of the mind, and the nobility. This is the GP Mahan quality that I spoke about. And that's what the 10 capitals, when if we have those values, we see that the 10 capitals are there that emerge from us, you see, and those 10 capitals is what determines the quality of our lives. I've seen people who are very harsh with their words, and you see their quality of life is not so great. I've seen people who have very mean thoughts, and you see that life doesn't treat them very well, or they miss many opportunities. So this Mahan's teachings teaches us it's not just a meditation mechanically we sit down and meditate, but we have to introspect very deeply the changes that it is initiating, and recognize the changes and how we go with those changes to aid those practices so that we reinforce those changes to lead to the outcome that we want, which is lead a happy and a spectacular life, and gives us time to not just discover the divine force in our meditation, but also discover this divine force in everything that we do. That's what Swamiji says. Swamiji's meditation, Swamiji, every facet of our lives, we feel this connectedness. That meditative, the divine connection is not just in meditation, but when we're interacting with the world, we're interacting with our family, when we're interacting with our office colleagues and friends and the greater society. And you see that, our life becomes really spectacular. And something very interesting happens to the brain and mind. It expands its bandwidth, and we are able to reinforce that meditation further. So it takes the meditational practice, the 3 stages of initiation, to the next stage of evolution. And that reinforces, recalibrates our spiritual compass, and that strengthens our 10 capitals and that feedback loop. And this is what, over the many years of practicing Mahan's teachings, that there's a continuous refinement, the continuous expansion, the continuous evolution, and you discover new facets of your own life that is just expanding like the universe. And this is the beauty of Mahan's meditational practice. I'm sure there are other meditational practice that may give a similar experience, but this is my practice of Mahan's, like how you discover the power of the universe that is continuously expanding. That power of this divine nature within you continuously expands in the different horizons of our lives, different facets of our lives. not just in our meditational practice. So as I was thinking and reflecting back, this cycle, what I call the virtuous cycle of enlightenment, which Mahan's practice unleashes, one has to be really patient. One has to be very diligent. One has to be consistent in their practice. And you see that slowly, something very interesting happens. Often ask people, why do you meditate? Well, we meditate to become good meditators. Not good enough. We don't practice meditation to be good meditators. And here it is, as I was penning down my thought. We do not practice meditation to be good meditators. We practice meditation to discover the power of the Creator. We can't discover the power of the Creator because our mind is so noisy with all the frivolous and transitory and material things that are completely, preventing us from discovering the power that lies within us. So we practice meditation to discover the power of the Creator that is embedded in all of us. And that power of the Creator is that infinite possibilities and potentialities. The mind of an ordinary person operates in a particular frequency. A mind of a intensive meditator that discovers the Creator operates at a much more higher frequency, at a more subtle frequency. So when one discovers that, you have that infinite possibilities and potentialities, you feel so happy. This Swamiji used to say, Summa irkum sugam, that wonderful feeling that no material things in this universe could give you that. It's embedded in all of us and the divine purpose of our lives. And the divine purpose of our lives. We discover that Creator in us and our own purpose in life. And what is that purpose in life? Purpose in life is live a life of purpose. That means we really push the boundaries of our own discovery and knowledge to discover the Creator itself that is embedded in us. And when we discover this, we realize that the individual self and the universal self are the same. We are all manifestation of the divinity. We are all packaged differently, but the essence is the same. And if the mind can calibrate to that knowledge, we won't have the inferiority complex nor the superiority complex. We actually realize that we are all that spiritual being. And that's what, that whole idea is vanakkam. That means vanakkam means actually I bow to that spirit in all of us. And the same thing with namaste. Namaste is actually to give homage to that universal divinity that is embedded in all of us. Most people do it theoretically, but one who practices meditation goes beyond that physical appearance to see that divine universal, substratum that is connected all of us. And when we do that, you see that, you realize something. I realize something that, the charioteer of my chariot, which is this life, is this divinity. So wherever, of course, my mind must be connected to the divinity, and that force takes that chariot to many places of discovery, many experiences, and many wonderful, substratums that an ordinary human mind would find it hard to touch. And Swamiji, says this very, very beautifully in this quote that, I tried and tried, this abode, and I put in all the effort, and I discovered that what is inside me and what is outside me are the same thing, which I discovered the divinity that is powering everything. A wonderful kind of a finale that he shows that by practicing this meditation, you discover that spiritual compass that helps us to harness the 10 capitals of life to live an enlightened, a happy, and a spectacular life. And that evolution continues until the body drops off. And before the body drops off, you would understand what samadhi means. Samadhi is actually the same origin that we are all, kind of packaged in this material identity, this finite, this mortal identity, but within that mortality there is immortality. Within that finiteness there is that infiniteness. Within that transitoriness of the body, we have that eternal. And this is the wonderful part. And the mind which knows this truth, the mind does not get affected by the changes in the body. The mind does not get affected by the changes in the circumstances. It's able to achieve something called equanimity, samatva, not caught up by ups and downs. It's able to transcend the ups and downs and achieve this beautiful, wonderful state of samatva. Samatva is equanimity, not perturbed by anything. And this is the wonder of this great Mahan's meditational practice. Sandosham to all.